What's good, everybody? This is the 1st and the 15th by myself, Damilare, and this is my painting series, or my creation series, where I take on a new feat, and the feat right now is a 120 by 80 centimeter canvas. It is the biggest canvas that I do of recent memory. There's going to be bigger, but this is the biggest I actually do currently. The main thing about the 1st and the 15th is that I'm always trying to continue on the overall that is the OJIJI and the exhibition that I want to do, which is OJIJI Sans Elegante. There's much more in store, but for the main thing about the 1st and the 15th is to complete it before rent is due. And that's what we're gonna, try and accomplish and ensure that we do it in due time. So yeah, man, let's go on this ride, and hopefully you may take some inspiration, or even just come on the journey of watch me document myself painting, man. Yeah, I appreciate it. Let's just work, because I got nothing else to say. Things that I want to do with this is actually go ham. I can't help it. It is so necessary for me to win. Like, I feel it in my bones, and I want to achieve these paintings. They just mean so much to me, and it's intentional, it's purposeful, and it's me being the most honest version of myself. And that's what these paintings are for me. And I hope the experience is enjoyable for you to see how much effort and how much joy I put into the creation process of my paintings. That being said, though, on the 1st and the 15th, it's me working like any other day, but it happens to be on camera. And honestly, when I'm painting, I'm having fun, but I understand that rent is also due. I need to finish these, and I need to achieve my goal of having a gallery exhibition. There is still quite a ways to go. There's always a timeline, there's always a deadline, because you know what I'm saying, we're hungry out here and I need to get after it. So I have to have a conversation with color and try to understand where I'm taking the background. So I done some color mixing earlier, and I really thought that this needs to feel like a sky, but not a real sky. I don't want it to be blue, but at the same time it's gonna be blue, right? So I wanted it to be grounded. I wanted to ground it in something. So there's gonna be some sort of cool blue, cool grey, just to make the OJIJI stand out. I want it to feel like I'm here, but I don't want it to be like the more overpowering sensation. Because the backgrounds are their own theme, they are their own conversation, and they are relatable to something or to a specific feeling, mode, or emotion. What I want here is the mode or emotion to be more subdued, and then I want what is the actual full composition to be exclamation point on this composition. It's been almost a year since I drafted this, and I was trying to figure out, how am I going to compose this? What is it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? How is the energy that I'm trying to put into this going to be? Where am I going to put it? And one of the main things that I thought about was, okay, this needs to be big, this needs to be grand. And I had never done a big painting. I didn't know how much paint I was gonna need. I didn't know which brushes. I didn't know which techniques. I didn't know any of those type of things. But I just knew that, yo, this can be huge. And so I created. I started with, um more ideas that were made for smaller pieces, and then I was able, through the sheer level of confidence and ability to put these into existence, or the other painters into existence. I was like, okay, now I have the material, I have the ideas, and I have the experience to be able to create this in a way that I want to see it be done. With all of that being said, we're gonna try and complete this today. We're gonna try to add some value to myself and try to tell a good story. What I've done here, especially with the composition, it's a good. I'm calling it a composition because I don't have a name for it, so don't ask me for one yet. The name will come to me. One of my main things with this composition is the powerful, ethereal nature of it. Much like the Adam and God thing, and I wanted to have like a little bit of fun with that composition. But one thing about this composition, not just that it was a proof of concept, it is kind of like a little bit satirical. I can't lie. It's meant to be funny. It's really just meant to be funny, and I am doing this in a mode where I am having actually the most fun. I'm having the most fun recording myself right now. As you can tell, I don't know whether that's coming through on the screen, and I'm having the most fun actually painting these because yeah, it's I love showing my process and I love storytelling in this manner. I can't lie. I transformed it into the way that I wanted to storytell. And the reason I did that was because when I started, this was one of the more earlier paintings that I drafted. This was a draft before many other paintings you've seen me do was a draft. When I've realized that I had an actual well thought out idea, I felt this overwhelming sensation to attempt to push myself and push the figures and push the dynamic composition to create something very ethereal, or to do something that was referential, because all of this memetic dialogue is referential to actual human figures and black figuration. But I wanted to see if I can push it past the extent of, oh, this is very Afrocentric, to something that is, oh, this can be a global idea that I use to be able to storytell. I want you to know I'm not afraid of starting over. So I pushed myself to actually figure out certain ways to actually compose these paintings. And this was one of the more earlier ideas or iterations that made me realize that, yeah, this is a global idea. This is something that I can, use to create my stories in, and to convey and use the OJIJI as a conduit to tell particular stories. The later stories, the later iterations that are pretty much every painting that I've done was made thereafter this. All of the drafts were made there, pretty much all of them were made after this. So it made me value them more, and the painting started pouring out of me. The draft started pouring out of me, and I was able to be more grateful for the idea, because it's not just something that, oh, I can just enjoy because I'm creating these in like a flourish or with a finesse. This was, yo, this can be bigger than me if I allow it to be. And with that realization is why this painting is existing, because It's not just that it was one of the earlier ones or it's one of the better compositions or anything like that. It's that it needs to exist because it was a proof that my concept was real to me. Yeah, just grateful for all the people that motivate me, all the conversations that I'm having, and all of the quality time being spent with my craft. I'm realizing that I'm bringing value to myself just by making these videos. It's part of the overarching thematic. I know that what I'm doing is partially what I'm meant to be doing. I get to create movies, document the process, and add value to myself. And then, you know, hopefully, as part of the intent and a byproduct, add value to the ecosystem of creativity and add value to anybody who is watching these videos that I create. See you later. Rent is always due, fam. Take risks and prosper. It's always important to take risks and prosper. I wanted to have a slight conversation based on color. So this is another color conversations. So when I first started, you know, I had no experience with oil paint. I had no experience with paint at all, really. I had experience with color digitally, and then I had experience with markers, alcohol markers, and that's what I started with when I was in college. But then thereafter, I didn't have any experience with like traditional mediums. Pretty much the existence of me with color is YouTube University, right? I don't say that as like some sort of big ups, it's just like what it was based on the tools that I had at my disposal. That being said, though, I was able to understand color through trial and error. So when I decided to start color mixing, this was around 2 years ago, I decided to just play with pigments and traditional pigments. I started out with a zone palette, which is umber, ochre, like yellow ochre, cad red, ultramarine blue, right? And maybe titanium white, which is like the white that everybody uses. So I started with the bare bones, or what could have been considered the bare bones, because paint is expensive. And one thing that I learned early on is that you want paints with a high pigment content, and then you're able to understand the full nature of the color that you have in front of you. That being said, though, how I understand it now is that there are ways that colors talk to each other and ways that I see color on the page. So, for instance, in the beginning, I was more so playing around with color and seeing, okay, this is what happens when you dilute the color this much, and this is what happens when the color is straight out the tube and working with itself. And then I was just kind of like, okay, that's what I know. I was like, cool with that. I did a bunch of paintings just like that, diluted paints, and trying to pre-mix on my palette before putting it on the page. What I did know fundamentally just from when I was actually painting or creating art by myself is you don't want too much of a busy surface. And then me, just as an artist, I prefer something a little bit more minimal and something that speaks as an overall composition when it's unified. So the next thing that I learned is how to unify a canvas, and you can probably see the ultramarine influence in that, because It was my version of indigo starting out. And indigo is generally one of my favorite colors. Like, I used to think it was navy, but in reality it is actually indigo. You know, I learned about it through my heritage and the dyeing process in fashion. When you're trying to unify a palette, or when you're trying to unify a canvas, either way, like some people mix on a canvas, some people mix on a palette. When you're trying to unify those spaces, there are, you know, little tiny tips and tricks that everybody uses. Outside of that, it comes down to taste and what is best suited for the thing that you're creating. So I value colors in a way where they each talk to each other and they're able to assist one another in, you know, the point that I'm trying to make. And for this instance, the point that I'm trying to make is a blue that is rich but will be unlike any other blue. And some of my favorite paintings that I've done, well, I say favorite, some of my most technical paintings that I've done also align with my ability to use multiple blues all in the same instance and them not interfere with one another and come out as blacks or come out as whites or lights or brights. So there's a way to affect the brightness, the saturation, the hue, and everything else of that nature. And the most technical paintings I do are the blue ones, like the ones that are blue all over and you're not going to see anything else. Oh yeah, that's a good color conversation. The way that I presented my most recent composition that you guys are currently seeing me paint is a little more, it's a little more meaningful than I gave it credit for. The painting, this most recent composition, has a name. Its name is Adura Magba. Adura Magba. In my language, that means prayers get answered. It was revealed to me that this was the name of the painting, right? This was the PLC. This was the proof of concept. For me now, when I'm speaking about this, when you remember your self-respect and your dignity, you treat yourself, you treat your livelihood in a different manner. And I was able to see more that this painting is the proof of concept that even allowed me to even have the audacity to decide that these were the paintings I was going to produce, and then even have the audacity to share them online. Like, all of that comes from this, right? And in totality, it was my prayers getting answered. And that's really the main message of it. It's like, prayers get answered sometimes. This is what I am supposed to be doing in light of or in lieu of, you know, however anybody else perceives me. This is my honest truth and tribute to the art game based on all of my 10 years of education in, you know, classical and formal education and outside of classical formal education. What you see me paint is the proof of that concept. And what I'm producing is not just the proof of that concept, it is the, you know, acceptance of myself that I can create something that needs to exist. I thank everybody for participating, everybody, you know, showing me love. There are some people that just don't get it, and there are those of you, the loving and the kind and the people with foresight and everything like that, that see that I'm delivering something with a purpose and a plan. So yeah, man, I thank those people, and obviously give glory always to God. I've just recently mixed the colors. The colors are done, right? The look of this is gonna look and feel the necessary emotions that I have in store for it, because in general it's gonna be so bold in multiple areas. You can see I'm touching all of these. They're dry. this touch dry. It's taken me 20 days to do this. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's taken me 20 days. It's taken me quite some time to finish this epic. I want so many things for my art practice, my ARAH or ARA, and my oeuvre to be, you know, to feel the value that I have for art in and of itself. I was made and carried out this project in a way to exclaim and amplify the fact that I can be without so that I can fulfill from within. It needed to be without people, but within figurative form. And this is Adura Magba. And I love it so much, and I want to take care of it. So I don't want to say too much more. I just want to finish the painting, and then we'll get to the next phase. There's so much that I want to say. I just want to be grateful for this painting coming to be. I am fulfilling what is necessary. I lived without so that I can create from within. And partially that's one of the qualities in the work that I done when I was writing. I started writing 6 years ago. I did pretty much one a month, much like I'm doing painting today. And then I, you know, became more prolific in my writing and ended up doing about 200 the next year. And my pace and patience, my sabr and jamil, was necessary. And just like when I was drafting this, my prayers got answered and I was able to fulfill everything else that I was doing. So this was not just my proof of concept, but this was a prayer answered, and this was me being faithful to the blessings that I was gifted. So I appreciate everybody for watching this and watching me finish this painting. So let's get it cracking. Okay, so this isn't looking half bad for a first draft. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, I thought it was gonna go way worse than this on camera because I'm not really used to the thing like that. But this is going how I would like it to go as a first draft, because boy, terrifying before. It was looking spooky, fam. It was looking dark. This thing was looking dark. But this one, good first draft, good first draft. I'm gonna clean it up. But yeah, man, let's keep going. Okay, so I started over here. I worked my way up and around and across and everywhere. You're gonna see the full thing soon. It's currently 4 a.m. 4:14. I'm tired. I am tired, fam. I'm not actually tired. I'm so not tired. I'm actually locked in the zone. But it's like, oh my gosh, it's covered. It is covered. And I'm going to bed like successful. I just think, oh man, Allah is so beautiful, so merciful. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful that I've got to get to this stage, and I literally put 100 hours into this painting. I've put 100 hours over 20 days into this, and I'm just so grateful. Oh my lord, I can't wait for it to dry so I can see what it really looks like, and then I can do a lot more touch-ups. But whew, Lordy, oh lordy, what a beautiful painting, man. What a beautiful painting, and what a beautiful message that has come with it. Because I'm learning and studying patience, and I had to be patient with myself. I have to be patient with this piece, and I also am trying to be patient with success and allow it to come to me in the most natural way possible, without, trying to force anything, and doing just the right moves to create what would be, or what will be, what is naturally supposed to be for me. Sabr and Jamil, you know? Just trying to show beautiful patience. I said that when I was making this, and boy, I was like, damn. Like, it was literally just a wave of just like understanding came over me, and I was just like, alright, even though this pain is giving me a lot of problems, I must have patience in this little bit so that I can, know how to be patient with the big things. And I've been patient with my art for 3 years. Just being faithful. What I have been is just faithful to the craft of art, and I made decisions to paint like this, and even though it's like, damn, this is not what I was like picturing for myself to be painting, but it's what I had to be painting. And I don't want it to be perceived in a particular way, but at the same time I can't control how it's perceived, but I'm still gonna share it regardless. And I'm really trying to be thorough with every piece, every inch of what I'm creating, taking my time, being conscious of my craft. I've literally spent so much of my life wanting this, and now it's like I just want to be graceful, but there's also this burning desire for me to be shown a piece of my success, because I've been quiet for so long, and what else can I do? I just have to wait a little bit longer, have this painting finished, and I guess just keep making videos and have my eyes open to, the pathway that is gonna come for me in the future. Oh yeah, rent is due. Let's make rent every 1st and the 15th. And don't forget to pay your bills. This is Adura Magba. Do what's necessary, then you can do what you want, and then what you want will show to you how necessary it is for you to do it. Okay, fam, the day's finally here. Woo! Ciao. Alright, so Adura Magba is finished. Oh my days. It's been a long road. It's been over 20 days. But, gosh, Well, it's been about 20 days, I should say. It's been about 20 days, and we finally got it. Oops, a daisy. Give it a sec. Alright. The ghetto, again. It's probably one of the more fulfilling paintings that I've done in terms of the way that I understood it, what I learned in terms of even me making videos. Like, I didn't even know how much making videos would be so fulfilling to me in and of itself. And I just appreciate everything that's gone on with this painting, to be honest. And then even like the meaning of this painting, it evolved and it changed, and it qualified itself to be one of the few paintings that I have that kind of made everything else happen. That's really in a sense, Adura Magba is like the inception or like predecessor of everything else. Regardless of anything though, this is done. Like, wait, let me actually see if I can. Perfect. Alright. Like, I know, yeah. I know. Everything that I do is quite serious. It is what it is, right? It is what it is. It's quite serious. It's quite meaningful. But there are times like this where I'm just utterly prepared to celebrate regardless. And yeah, man, like, look at what we've done. Yo. Yeah, having your proof of concept kind of painting, or should I say one of them, was like having them painted is just a little bit more different for me. So everyone knows, yeah, they should be doing what fulfills them, and it's important to one, just trust your gut instinct. I'm finding it ever more important to trust my gut instinct and to do the things that I just need to do. There are just some things that I actually needed to get done, and I actually got them done. Or should I say I'm getting them done. So obviously this painting was one of them, but also spending time with my family. Like, I was doing this all the way over Christmas, so I completed that, and really trying to accomplish the necessities, right? So I was really hunkering down and trying to understand what are my necessities. And then with this proof of concept, it kind of elevated, it actually just elevates all the other paintings, and it validates all of them for me. Like, it just validates this right here. It validates everything that is being hung, and it's a qualifier. Because yeah, even though this is one of my most complex, it's also one of um my most rudimentary and fundamental designs for what I see, and like how I see the future of the OJIJI being perceived. It's like, it's such a human, um there's such human gestures within all of these, and because everything is quite gestural and it's meaningful, and then there's a lot of there's a lot of foreshortening in there, and there's characterization, so on and so forth, right? When it comes to the evolution of just me doing figurative work, this means the world, you know what I'm saying? So life is life, but still gotta go to work, still gotta, make rent, still gotta pay the bills. Rent is due every 1st and the 15th, and we can't do anything about that. We've got to do the necessities. That is what rent is due is about. What rent is due is about is actually doing the necessities, doing what you're meant to be doing in order to do what you want to do. And if I didn't make rent every 1st or 15th, just like everybody else, I wouldn't be able to complete such a triumphant piece for me, right? And even though I had to do all of my other necessities, I still had to spend time doing what I wanted to do, and I had to make time for it. Making time for what I really wanted to do that fulfills me, that fulfills my career and my craft, is such an important part of the process. And even those late nights, that time when I was up at 4 a.m., it means a lot. You know what I'm saying? It means a lot, and there's nothing that I could have done about that in terms of changing it. But then it meant the world. Like, I was literally filled up with energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at what we've done. See you later. Rent is always due, fam. Take risks and prosper. Magba is done, and you know, rent is due. Let's hope that I'm able to finish this video and I get to make rent on the 15th. Because boy, I just appreciate the time spent. I appreciate anyone who's spent time with me doing all of these paintings. And you know, like as always, we thank God, we thank family, and we thank friends. Because without them, all of this, that all of this wouldn't be what it is. It wouldn't feel so good in like in my life currently if everyone around me wasn't supportive, and it wouldn't be possible to do all of this if God wasn't involved. You know what I mean? So I just appreciate that this path that I'm taking, it opened itself up to me as one that I was supposed to be taking, and all the risks I take to actually fulfill these paintings seems more meaningful